good?
I'll do plenty of that.
Okay. Hey, people. I'm Tori Townley. We are here live on the Serve Brew. What's up? Hope you got your coffee or tea. Today I've got green tea. And my buddy over here, Mr. Nick Balcombe from Camino De Vida, is sipping on some...
It's kind of like a green tea based. I don't know. It's something my wife has. It's called traditional medicinal. So something medicinal. I don't know.
I don't know what's in that. And you have the snack going too, because you're an adult and you can eat whatever you want.
I got my peach cobbler that I made last night, and I'm eating it today with some Haagen-Dazs vanilla ice cream, which is my jam.
We're taking Serve Brew to a whole new level. I don't even know. Mm-hmm. But thank you so much for hopping on this call. It was kind of impromptu. I was like, yo, bud, let's hop on a call in 3 days. You in? Sure. Awesome. I'm excited. I've grown up like Pastor Robert Barringer is hero of mine. My family, Pastor Dino Rizzo, who's my dad, is just in love with Pastor Robert in the most manly of ways. We love you guys and the work that has been going on for years. I know outreach is massive and beyond anybody's wildest dreams of what you could hope for in Peru. I've seen pictures and heard stories just like for years and years, and just in awe of what y'all do. So you, Pastor Nick, are the outreach pastor there, and I just wanted to get with you and like hear more about some of the details of what you guys do, the story, and just really inspire people who are wanting to learn more and grow, and maybe even come visit, live there one day. I don't know. But anyway, Pastor Nick, if you would just tell like a little bit of your personal story, like how you got there. You don't have an accent, so I'm assuming you're not from Lima. You might be, that's weird. Just tell a little bit about yourself, and then a snapshot of Camino De Vida for those who don't know yet.
Well, thank you, Tori, for having me on Serve Brew. I'm so excited to be here. I've heard so much about Serve Brew for so many years now. To finally be able to do this face-to-face, it's a dream come true for me. So, a little bit about me. My name is Nick Balcombe. I'm from San Diego, California, so that's where I get my really cool laid-back accent from. And I came to Peru in '99, which is about 18 or so years ago, with my family, Bruce and Joanne Balcombe. They decided to take all of their kids to Peru to be missionaries, and at that time I was 17, and so I didn't have a whole lot of choice. It was just kind of like, all right, we're all going to go to Peru. So we all went to Peru, and it was great, because it was at a time in my life where I just wanted to do God's will, whatever that may be. I was like, God, one foot in front of the other, I just want to do your will. And so it was during that time, I fell in love with the language, I fell in love with the culture, the people, and I fell in love with telling people about Jesus. It was weird because I would tell people about Jesus in the States, and people were like, whatever. But I would tell people about Jesus here, and they're like, tell us more. And I'm like, oh, wait, snap, now I got to tell you more. I wasn't really prepared for the more part. And so as I was able to tell people more, I was able to lead them to Christ. And I just fell in love with telling people about Jesus and then seeing God draw people to him, which was so fun. And then about a year later, I went back to the States to go to college, and I decided to get a degree in the easiest thing for me, and that was music. And so I just kind of C'd and B- my way through a bachelor's degree in music. And then eventually I came back to Peru because of my wife, Kristen. Now, she's originally from Michigan, and she came to Peru in 2001. And my parents were trying to hook me up with Kristen from 2001, saying, hey, there's this new missionary girl here, and I think you'd really like her. She'd be great. And I always thought that, the typical missionary girl is long hair, doesn't wear makeup, makes her own clothes, mustache, like the whole 9 yards. I'm just figuring, I'm sure she loves Jesus with all her heart, but there's something wrong with her, especially to be a single girl on the mission field. There's the stereotype that goes along with it. So I never gave it the time of the day, and I would just tell my mom, I'm sure she's nice. So 3 years later, I see a picture of this girl with my sister, and I tell my sister, hey, who's this girl? And Bethany says, well, that's Kristen. I'm like, wait, that's Kristen? I had no idea. Now, my wife has the most amazing, beautiful blue eyes, and she just has this smile that lights up her room. And so I'm thinking, what have I been doing? I'm an idiot. I gotta meet this girl. I gotta get to know this girl. And my sister told me the perfect thing. She said, you know what? Don't even try, because Kristen is just not interested in guys right now. She's just focused on her relationship with the Lord and serving him. And so I was like, challenge, she'll talk to me. So I immediately started to pursue her, and that was in, August of 2004. And we met each other face to face in December of 2004. I bought the ring thinking this is the girl that I want to marry 2 weeks later. And then a month after that, she said, I'm not leaving Peru. So I don't know how this is going to work out. And I was a young adult pastor at the time at a really great church in San Diego. And I thought, this is perfect. I'm a young adult pastor. I'm going to marry this great girl, bring her to the States, and then we're going to have this great ministry together. And when she said that, it's just like, well, what do I do now? So that's when I decided to become a missionary. And in April, from February to April, I raised all the funds to be able to become a full-time missionary. And I called Pastor Robert and told him the whole situation, said, the only way to marry Kristen is if I move there to become a missionary. Can I come back to Peru? And he said, it'd be great. We would love to have you. And so then in April, on the 28th, I moved back to Peru, and we got engaged in August, and we got married the following June of 2006. We've been married for 11 years. It's going to be 12 years this June. So that's why I became a missionary.
For a girl. You're in Peru for a girl. That's awesome.
A lot of decisions in life have been made over women. A lot of great decisions in life have been made over women.
For a great reason. Great reason, great cause. I have no
I always say, Tori, she is one of the best decisions that I've ever made in my life, and I am one of the worst decisions she's ever made. Or I sometimes say, like, I don't know what you did to piss off God, but here I am. This is what you get. And because she really is. My wife is incredible. She leads our internship. We base it off of HPC back in the day with what you guys were doing with your student ministries. And we started with one student, and everybody saying it would never work. And she's built it up to, I think there's 140 students enrolled in the full-time and part-time program this year. And it's just like the highest demand thing right now going on in Camino De Vida. So, and she runs the whole thing, and she's got this incredible leadership gift and this incredible staff. And anyway, she's just awesome. So I'm lucky that she lets me live in her house, basically.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. You're so like melty over it. It's weird. Like, oh, Mr. Tough Guy. And, oh, Kristen, I'm melting over here. That's so sweet, though. I love
everybody who knows Kristen, once you meet my wife, you'll be like, okay, I get it. And then you'll be like, huh, I guess everybody does have a lapse in judgment at some point in their life.
I should have got her on this call. I'm just kidding.
She's the best. So anyway, during that time, part of her worry was, okay, now I've got this boyfriend that's here. What am I going to do with him? But I had already known the culture. Again, I knew friends, because guys don't have to be around people for every single day to be able to connect and stay connected. We can just be gone for 4 years and then reconnect instantly. And so I was able to jump right back into all my old friends and then get right back involved in ministry, traveling around with groups and missions teams, and then getting involved with the outreach department. During that time, Jordan Durso, one of my really good friends, was in charge of it. So I kind of became his right-hand man. And he and I just had the best time building up a program that was based around what we learned, part from what Pastor Robert's heart has always been to serve, is humanitarian aid and taking what we have and giving and generosity is a huge part of the Barringer's heart. And I don't know people that are more generous than them besides maybe Pastor Dino, but they're just generous people. And so we took those principles and that mandate, and we built up what ended up being Servolution when Pastor Dino coined the phrase. And then we just started doing it any way that we could. So then later on, I transitioned in 2009, I think, to full-time. That was the area that I oversaw. And little by little, we've been trying to build it up. And every year we have this goal of reaching 100,000 people with a clear presentation of the gospel. And I'm not just saying like, we're going to, say, all right, if everybody wants candy, y'all have to pray this prayer, which I'm totally for, by the way, because, I mean, come on. But I'm talking about a clear presentation of the gospel, a lot of one-on-ones and all that. And I wanted to see that happen 100,000 times. And we use Servolution and acts of kindness to be able to open the door for that. And so the goal has always been 100,000. And every year we've gotten closer and closer. So 1 year we were at like 20,000, then we were at like 30,000. 3 years ago, we're at like 40, 45,000. And this last year, we were able to reach over 81,000 people with the gospel. And then we saw, I think, over 11,000 salvations. And so what I feel like is that we were planting seeds, or we were watering, and the Holy Spirit was busy in Syria or in the Middle East or something. He was just like, or maybe heaven's become so populated that at this point he's just like just picking and choosing. And so at least we can say statistically that 1 out of 4 people that we share the gospel with, the Holy Spirit's going to pick. And the rest, I don't know.
Wow, that's so beautiful. Just a beautiful picture so far that you're painting. So on this like adventure, it's huge. Like the possibilities sound endless, and you're just like, it sounds like you're just set free, like go dream and do. So like how in the process of building what you guys are going to do and not do and what it looks like, what was your thinking? Was it let's go have conversations with community leaders and listen to the needs, or was it let's just go out and be with people and it's going to come? Like, how does your creative process happen?
That's a great question. It really comes down to I'm really, really lazy. And so I want to get out of doing as much work as possible. And the best way to do that is you have to let people come to you with ideas. And when they come to you with a great idea, you say, that is a great idea. You know what? I bet you would be the perfect person to lead that idea. And then from there, we have somebody who's going to lead it. And all you have to do is motivate them and resource them, and then be their biggest cheerleader when things are going good, and then have their back when things go bad. And so we started doing that on very simple things that most people are already doing. So, Pastor Nick, I feel like we should go feed the homeless. I think our church needs to do that. That's a great idea. What can we do to help you lead that? Because I know there's a lot of other people that feel the same way that we do. So then we get resources together and we send people out, and then we celebrate their wins. And then people say, you know what? I really like kids. What can we do for kids? We'll say, well, we have contacts with the government to be able to go into orphanages. So if we can make the introductions, would you mind leading a team? And so we would do the homeless, and we would do the going to the orphanages and playing with kids. And then we branched out to what people's expertise were. So there's a lot of people that are really smart and really gifted in a lot of really cool stuff, but feel like they don't have a way to use their giftings inside the church, but maybe outside the church there's a perfect way for them to do that. And so a great example is doctors, dentists, pediatricians, nutritionists, CrossFit gurus, or whatever you guys call that satanic cult. And through that, people are able to use that gifting outside of the church to bring whatever benefit to the person that would not normally be able to receive that, to that person, and then through that be able to just give a clear presentation of the gospel, which at the end of the day is God loves you so much. He loves you so much. He sent me here to tell you that he loves you so much. And so we love that we're able to present that, and then we're able to tell people that through God's love, he provided a way for us to go to heaven through Jesus. So we've continued to do that as much as we've identified people that have unique talents and abilities. There's this one crazy lady at Camino De Vida that she's crazy. You have to be crazy to do this, but she makes food out of the things you're not supposed to make food out of. For instance, she makes banana peel bread. So she doesn't use the banana, she uses the banana peel. And then she will tell you for 20 minutes why the banana peel is more nutritious than the banana. And even if you tell her that, sorry, Charlene, I don't see, and her name's not Charlene, but sorry, Karen, I don't see any monkeys eating banana peels. They're just eating what's inside. She's like, no, you don't understand. And so she's this nutritionist, and she will go wherever we will give her the opportunity to go and talk to people about her bread that she makes. And then she makes all kinds of other stuff. And people, I'm telling you, Tori, people are into this. It's weird. Maybe it's a cultural thing, but people are into this. They're like, this is so cool. And then through that, we're able to say, you know what? God loves you so much. They sent you this lady to tell you about her banana peel bread, but also, see, this might help you in this life, but Jesus will help you not only in this life, but in this life. So anyway, that's what we do. Yeah, it's so gross.
My mind is so blown right now. Like, what? Banana peel bread. Have you eaten some is what I need to know.
I had a very, very small piece, and I chewed on it for about a minute, and then I said, "This is gross. Why would anybody eat this?" And everybody around me was like, "No, pastor, ¿cómo puedes decir eso? Es rico." And I was just like, "No, no, no. Don't give me none of your gibberish. This is gross."
This is gross. Well, okay. So she cracked the code of some people in her community. Wow.
I guess
Okay.
so, yeah.
Okay.
Who knew?
Well, I think when I come to visit, I will try it. But
Really? You don't have to.
no, I will. I want the experience fully.
Do it for the experience. Don't do it for the people.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer.
Okay.
The old school mission times of where you have to eat what's set before you, you don't have to do that anymore, because at the end of the day, not everybody's going to go to heaven.
Okay, quotes from Nick Balcombe that I will be tweeting later. Okay, got it. 1 in 4 people Jesus chooses to go to heaven. That's awesome. Anyway, okay.
I'm just running the numbers by you. That's all, Tori.
Being real. That's good. Numbers are important. All right. I love the philosophy, though. If people come to you with their dreams, they come to you with their passions, and you're like, okay, let's make it happen, because it can't rise and fall on you, only Nick. Like, you can't reach all of Lima just on your own. So that's cool. Hey, lazy can be a blessing, not a curse. Go ahead. So many new life philosophies from you, dude. You're turning my world upside down. Awesome.
Yep.
Okay,
so like, own it, though. If you don't own it, if you're not authentic about it, people are going to call you out on it, and you're going to feel bad. So do what God tells you to do, Tori.
Amen. Yes, sir. Got it. So, okay, question. So, like, this culture that you guys have built, it sounds like people come to you all the time with weird, awesome, crazy ideas, and people are crazy if they love outreach usually, and I'm cool with that. I own that.
Oh, for sure.
So how did that culture begin, though? Like, it obviously couldn't, or maybe it did start from the beginning, but like, how did people start feeling the freedom to dream with you for their community? What was the foundation that was laid from that? Was it sermons? Was it Pastor Robert's invitation? Was it you guys?
Yeah.
What was that? If there was like a certain thing.
Any successful ministry at any church has to start with the senior pastor being for it. If there's not buy-in, then it's always going to be the redheaded stepchild over in the corner.
Right.
And so from the beginning, Camino De Vida culture has always been to serve, and Pastor Robert was doing that from the beginning, even on his own personally. And so because of that, it's in the culture. Now, every church has their outreach area, the outreach department. And it really is, like you said, Tori, the crazy people that are all the extroverts. Mm-hmm. And that helped, because we would facilitate events for people to do, and we would provide this place where people could come with ideas, and we would say, go for it and all that. But I have to say that when we made a conscious effort to start doing Servolution, when Pastor Dina started doing it, and we said, okay, we're going to do this too. And we still do this. We're not as cool as you guys. We just do the main focus every year of that week leading up to Easter, because it works out so well culturally with us. And we get people to serve on the Saturday before, and then every single day we try to have activities. So usually during that week, I want to say we have like 32 different activities. Wow. That are happening during the week. And then on the main Saturday, there's like, seriously, there's thousands of people that are going out and doing stuff, because it's an all play with the church. Everybody's involved. And so we used to make that our big thing. And then as people, I'm talking like back in 2009, 2010, 2011, when people started doing that, we said, okay, why don't we do this all year round? Mm-hmm. Instead of just our normal like outreach activities and then our Servolution week? Why don't we do Servolution weeks 4 times a year? And so we did it in 4 different quarters. And then 2 years after that, we decided, you know what, we're just going to do Servolution all week long, except for Sundays and Mondays. Because Sundays we want everybody to be involved in the church, and then Mondays we just wanted a day off. People can go to hell that day, I guess. I don't know. It's so selfish at the end of, yeah. It's like, nobody die on Monday. Give us a chance to get to the hospital to be able to pray with you. And so we would do that. And that's kind of the culture that is just known now. There's always a Servolution table at our church where people can go, and it's like a menu that you can see that a restaurant would provide and say, okay, on Tuesdays we have this and this, and on Wednesdays we have this and this, and Thursdays and Fridays we have this thing. And you can sign up right there and say, okay, I want to be a part of this activity that's coming up. And the person right there at the table will give you all of the details you need to know to be able to get involved. And we do that at all of our 5 campuses. And we did a major transition though this year because we wanted to get even more people involved. And we wanted people to feel like it was an outreach department, but it was the church going out and doing that. And so now, you mentioned this at the very beginning when you were asking a question, it used to be all serve department sponsored in a sense, or outreach department sponsored, and now it's all small group sponsored. Cool. And so that means a small group, which essentially is already, there's a serve team going out that loves doing an activity. And so we're like, okay, you're a small group now, whether you like it or not. And so now that small group sponsors that event. And then on the serve table, when people want to join, then that small group leader contacts that person who's interested. And that way they can build up their small group and then make it even a large group and then split it into another small group. And that way at the end of the year, we're going to be able to say, hey, all of our small groups were involved in doing these amazing serve activities, and here's what they were, and here's the numbers, and get involved with the small groups so that you can serve. Because then when there's not a serve activity going on, they can still do activities with their small group. Isn't that cool?
Brilliant. Brilliant.
I wish we could. And then I told all that to Pastor Chris Hodges, and he came up with small groups. So that's how that book was written.
All of this is on the record, so I will be sure to email this his way. Hey, Pastor Chris is your buddy.
No, seriously, it was Lane's idea to delegate people's.
Cool.
Like if you have a cool idea, okay, then God is telling you to do that idea.
Cool. So
I can't really take credit for that since this is on the record.
Well,
I can't really take credit for anything. At the end of the day, I'm just like Gehazi trying to make sure that I'm just the best assistant to Elijah and Elisha not screwing it up. or Elijah. I don't know. I just don't want to get leprosy. That's the point.
Oh my gosh, I'm dying. Okay, good. I'm glad you're my hero. So, I love that you kind of put language to some of the stuff that we're dreaming here. Like, been working with Pastor Dino, we're talking about just as outreach has evolved, like there's just natural progression that we're seeing, and we're trying to like kind of put some language and like a frame around some of the art. And what you said is exactly what we've been seeing and starting to teach is kind of, you start with the all call type of stuff. So like Servolution, serve day, whether it's Easter or whatever the day in July, if it's Christmas, like a way to get the entire church just hyped about, let's go make a splash. And then from that, things are starting to birth for cultures every single day. So your small groups are building culture, and then it's just like the ongoing stuff. So you have an everyday kind of thing, but it's not the outreach department. It's outreach is permeating the whole thing because the whole church is meant for people who aren't here yet, correct? Yes.
Totally.
So
I love that.
that's so awesome. Cool. Like what your story completely parallels what we're seeing and observing. And I'm like, that's cool. That gives us confirmation. Like that is correct. Kind of how God seems to be moving in his rhythm. He's always going to change it. God's the same, but he's cool and lets us experiment and dream. But right now that's kind of what we're seeing. And so makes me excited. Like God's like moving everywhere and it works. So give me some like, you've given me the Miss Karen with her banana peel bread, but what are some other, like, some people might know, I know you guys do a ton of stuff with the wheelchairs, which is such an awesome serve outreach that you're doing. What are some other examples that people could maybe just get an idea of the type of ministry that you're doing out there outreach wise?
All right, great question. We'll just run down the list.
Oh gosh.
It really is, and we don't do anything to brag. We just have so many stinking volunteers, and we just have to find ways to keep them busy. And so we come up with all kinds of weird stuff to do. We even have a team that goes out and gives massages. How cool is that?
What?
A team that goes out and gives massages. It's amazing. They'll post out at a fair, at a big cultural fair, and they'll give massages on little massage chairs. And then when people are there, say, okay, well, I'm giving you a massage. Is there anything I can pray for you about? How cool is
What?
that, right?
That's so cool.
It's so cool.
Are they certified masseuses?
No,
Do they
no,
do background checks or anything?
no.
No, okay.
They're fine. They're not
Okay.
creeps. They're solid people. The coolest thing is almost everybody who's full on involved in what would be outreach department is also
Mhm.
full on involved in the weekend service in some
Cool.
other ministry. So they're dedicated.
Okay. Cool.
But
That
yeah,
is
I get the whole. Remember, it's a different culture out here. You can
America might
random,
freak out a little
yeah,
bit,
you
but
can randomly
Korea,
just go up and touch somebody, give them a back rub, and nobody's gonna cry about it.
whole different world. That's awesome.
Totally different world.
Okay.
So anyway,
What
so
else you got?
we do that. Yeah, seriously. Let's move on
That's
from
super
back rub.
cool though. Super.
Uncomfortable. And so we do medical campaigns. Any doctors that we have, and like I mentioned
Okay.
before, we'll even take dentists out and we'll do what is it called? And you do fillings, or
Mhm.
we'll yank out teeth if we don't have eh, uh, fillings stuff or whatever.
Such a
I'm not a dentist,
blessing.
obviously. And so we have plastic surgeons that come down and do the cleft palate and
What?
cleft
That's
lip, and some amazing, amazing miracles that have happened with that. We have eye doctors that do cataract eye surgery, and then we have teams that go out to old people's homes, to orphanages. We have one that goes out to special needs homes. We have a or an occupational therapist that came down, Lisa Alfonsi, who really built up what is now our physical and occupational therapist ministry by pulling together professionals in the church, and they go out to orphanages that have kids with disabilities, and they go for free and work with these kids. And
wow.
the crazy thing about this, and this is why it's so important to have cross-cultural ministries, is she went to this one home where there's a disabled boy, and just by spending a little time with this boy, she's like, this kid can walk. And everyone's like, no, he can't. Look at him. There's no way he can walk. She spent 3 months with him, and in 3 months, he started taking his first steps, and now he can walk. And so again, it's just amazing. That's why it's so important when teams come down. I know it's a real big fad of, hey, let's keep culture separated and let's just send money to the nationals and whatever. But God so loved the world that he sent somebody. He sent his son. He sent a being. And that's why it's so important that when you feel God's calling you to missions, it's not about just sending an email or sending a check. It's about going. And there's something that God has gifted you to be able to maybe be the miracle for some kid's life, like Lisa was for this boy who everybody else had written off. So she launched that, and it's become a big part of just going to homes for kids with special needs and just going and loving on the kids, being support for the staff who have some of the most difficult jobs in the world. They're underpaid and they're understaffed for everything that they have to do. And then we do feeding programs. We got food trucks donated by Joyce Meyer Ministries in Highlands over this last year. So now those have become like the biggest thing. Everybody loves to go out with the food trucks and cook food and then give out food. And it's like, it's so dorky. But people just love it. Like they just love it. So, so we've given out seriously thousands and thousands and thousands of meals, and then along with that, we always do a kids show and a big kids production, and we do water wells and we build houses and we do disaster reliefs, and we love whenever there's a fire. We're like the first responders after the fire's been put out
Wow.
to come in and gut the house and then repaint it and refix it up. Fire insurance really isn't a thing in Peru because fires just don't happen all that often. And so people aren't prepared for it, but we're always ready. And so I'm not saying we pray for fires, but when fires come, we pray that we hear about them first and
You
we're
like
on board.
actually light the match and throw it out there. Oops.
You know what I've totally thought about, because we do a lot of work in the inner city, is we should hire some of these inner city kids to go do vandalism. And then we'll come by the next week when there's a team, and we'll go clean it up, and then we'll go be in the community. And the community will be like, thank you so much. We're like, yeah, we're working with these kids, man. We don't know what to do with them.
What are you gonna
All
do?
so that we can tell people how much God loves them. So, and then we have our orphanage. We have our Grace Home, which is our home. It's kind of like Mercy Ministries, armed girls with
Okay.
eating disorders, bulimia, abuse that they've had in the past. And so it's a really amazing way. And it's one of our most expensive ministries that we do, but it's a great way for us to give somebody's life back to them, in a sense, when you have these girls that are essentially killing themselves and these parents who are desperate, they have no idea what to do.
Wow.
We offer them this free resource where they can go to a home that's just surrounded by the presence of God and peace and love. And within 6 to 9 months, usually they find their healing and they have a new lease on life. And they're just, it's an amazing ministry. And so far we have like an 83% success rate, so something like that. It's high. And so it's amazing to see what God is doing with that. And then our big initiative that we do every year is we give out wheelchairs. If there's one ministry domestically, I would suggest everybody support this free wheelchair mission. They have a very simple mission. It's to give out wheelchairs for free. And they've been giving out wheelchairs with us for a long time, since at least 14 or 15 years ago. And we were the first organization that they worked with to bring in a whole container of 520 wheelchairs. And since then, we've given over 60,000 wheelchairs away in the country. And this year, I plan to give away 24 containers of wheelchairs that we're getting through them. So that's going to be a little over 11,000 wheelchairs. Wow. But it's an amazing way to not only help a family and totally transform their lives, but it's an amazing way to say, look, this is 100% the gospel. We are disabled in our sins and we can't get to God. But God sent Jesus, a wheelchair, said now when we put our trust in him, I know it sounds so silly, but when we put our trust in him, now we can get to heaven, but also our life is better. And so it just works out so great for us to be able to give a clear presentation of the gospel. And it's something that now our church is known for. And anyway, so yeah, those are some of the things that we're doing. And then we have, all of the other little stuff that people have, their little groups that, that they're doing.
Pale bread.
And of course we have our community center, our dream center, which is awesome.
Yeah. So, okay. I was like, is the dream center included in the beautiful expansive list that you just shared, or is that an additional thing? And if so, tell me just a little bit about the additional thing. Okay. Tell me about that. I'm a dream center junkie. So
here's what, well, then you're going to love this. This is going to change your mindset. All right. I promise you, get ready for your mind to be blown.
Got my pen ready. Go.
Okay. So when we started the Dream Center, first we had a building that used to be a women's shelter, and it was empty for 3 years. And so I looked at it and I said, I think we should put a Dream Center. It's perfect. It's in the inner city. And so rather than ask for permission, I just told the church administrator, hey, I noticed that one building is probably really dirty. It's been abandoned for 3 years. Could we just go in and clean it out? He's like, sure. So we went in and cleaned it out, and then we just moved in. And then we started running programs there. And 3 months later, I said, hey, Pastor Robert, look what we did. And that's why it's always best to ask for forgiveness and permission. Okay. So it was great. And he said, well, everything we do, we want to tie it to local church. So now we're going to put a Sunday service there. And so we launched our Dream Center campus there, which is a great campus. It runs like 400 or 500 with 3 services. And it's just reaching the community with life-giving church where there is literally no life-giving churches in the area. So that's been really cool. But the whole idea of the Dream Center was a place for people to serve. A place for people to serve. Okay. Because there's always going to be poor people around. There's just always are. And especially in a city of where 9 million people, there's poor people all over the place. So the idea is not just to focus on the people that were around the area, but more be a place where throughout the week, people who were strong Christians or even nominal Christians or not Christian at all, but had the desire to serve, could come, and there would always be something for them to do. Okay. And then as God gets a hold of their life and puts vision in their hearts, we send them out from the Dream Center to go serve all around the other parts of the city, which is not really hard in our context, because you can drive for 15, 20 minutes and you're in horrible, abject poverty from being in a really nice area. Mm-hmm. And we wanted there to be a comfortable place, though, where people could come together, get resources, and then launch from, and then come back and celebrate and talk about the numbers and then go back to their homes. And since then, it's been so stinking successful. So we had over 13,000 volunteers this last year, which is a mess of people that we were able to funnel through essentially what is our hub, which is our Dream Center. But then the beautiful thing is that in the Dream Center, throughout the week, there's there's activities going on for people to serve right there. So we're always bringing in kids from the community, and we're doing different kids programs. We're doing different young adults programs, and everything is surrounded around just spending time with them and loving on them, doing after school tutoring, playing games, teaching them courses on value, and just really trying to impart something into their lives. And then we bring in widows, and we bring in older ladies in the community. We have this really cool sewing area. We teach them how to sew different stuff, and then we make our own serve shirts, and we make these dumb little bears that I think are so cute. Just all kinds of stuff to give away. I'm definitely against, as a ministry, as a church, producing things to sell outside of the community. It's more of, if a woman can come in and make something and she can take it on her own and sell it, I'm all for that. But our idea is not to provide them a wage, is to provide them a place for them to come and be loved on. But remember, it provides a place for all of our volunteers to serve and love on these women. So we have tons of these retired women that come in throughout the week, and they're just there loving on these people. Every day we feed tons and tons of people. So we've got volunteer cooks that come in. We have volunteer cleaners. We have volunteer that for the whole serve staff. I think I have 4 full-time employees, and everybody else is volunteers. And
Wow.
2 of those full-time employees are 100% with wheelchairs. So and one guy just is the media guy. So he just makes videos for us. So it's amazing when you provide a place for people to serve. Really, there's no excuse. It's one of those, if you build it, people will come. If you provide a place for people to serve, and then you honor them, and you love on them, and you give them, you empower them to do it, people are going to come, even in other people's churches, if other people are listening. So yeah, that's what we do there. We have this really cool boutique. Where did we get this idea from? I want to say we got it from Church on the Move, maybe. I don't know. We got it, but instead of thrift store shopping, we get the best of the clothes donations that come in. And then when a woman and her family will come in, we will take the best of the best, and we'll bring them into our boutique. We'll simply sit them in this nice chair, give them a cup of tea, and say, okay, what are your sizes? What kind of colors do you like? What are like the kind of designs that you're into right now? And then our volunteers will say, okay, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? Try this on, and make it this cool, dignified experience for these people that are so poor. And it's just this very exclusive thing that we get to do with them, and love on them, love on their family, and then hook them up with a bunch of clothes, and then a bunch of toys for the kids, and a bunch of non-perishable food. And it's just an amazing experience. Also, we house our groups, our mission teams that come in at the community center on the 4th floor. So we have 24 beds, I think, for that, and it's first class in the lodging, in the beds, in the bathrooms, in the lounge area. But at the same time, they're literally in the middle of the ghetto. So it's really cool dynamics. Right in front of where our community center is, we have a guy on the corner that's consistently selling any kind of designer drug that you want. You can get cocaine, you can get heroin, and his stuff it's the best. And
How do you know? How do you know this?
You don't know the people in your neighborhood? This is who are the people in your neighborhood? It's like growing up, you got to know this stuff. So anyway, well, you ask around. You don't try it, Tori. What are you talking about?
Okay, just checking. Isn't that peach cobbler and that green matcha stuff you're drinking? I don't know.
I'm just saying he's known.
Okay,
all the police know him and seem to like him.
Reputation. Okay. Sorry, keep going.
And yeah, I guess that's all with our community center. It's the whole idea. Like, the whole shift is that it wasn't a place for poor people to come necessarily, although poor people do come. It wasn't the sense that we want the inner city kids there, although the inner city kids do come there. The main goal of our Dream Center was for people in our church, people from the universities, from Rotary Club, from Lions Club, from different places, to come and have a place to serve. And then we've seen God do amazing stuff in their lives. And then they continue to serve in the community, but then they continue to go out, and we can send them all over the country to keep doing what they were already doing. So we love that we get to do that at the end.
The end. I love that vision, because sometimes there is a question of like, okay, what really is a dream center? And we know like LA has the incredible Mothership Dream Center, St. Louis, and it houses people. So there's people coming here and they're being sent out. But how do you paint the picture of what really is a dream center? And so that what you just defined is so cool to me, because it's a hub for lives to intersect. It's
Exactly.
home base. Let's be sent out. I love that, and I think that's cool for people to be able to hear. The heart is for us to foster an environment where God's love can be shown. And so cool. Thank you for defining that. I wanted to ask you, there's so much. I'm taking notes like crazy. You're loaded gun with amazing information and stories. And I'm so inspired. I'm coming.
Humbled by your praise.
No, it's for real though. I'm not being silly. It's for real. Okay, I have a question about teams, but before I do that, I was going to ask you, so people hear the incredibly expansive stuff that you guys are doing, beautiful ministry, wow, stories of lives being changed, dream centers, all this stuff. So if I'm new and my dream is to start a dream center, I'm a pastor and I want to have a heart for the lost in my community, but my resources are low, I don't have this culture built yet, whatever, what would you tell someone? I know you mentioned that you're training people on Servolution, both Peru and USA, wherever. What's some of the first starting steps that you would tell people, whether it's I'm going to start a dream center or just building an outreach culture? What would you tell them?
I love it. That's a great question. And we're trying to, in 10 different provinces, 10 different states in Peru, we're trying to train churches to do their own Servolution and then resource them to do it. So what I always tell pastors, and this is in Peru and domestically in the United States, is that the best resource that any pastor has is their people, their volunteers. You compare that to any nonprofit organization, and they're bleeding money because they have to hire people to do what your volunteers already do for free. And they do it because if they don't do it, they think God's mad at them, or they want to make God happy. So it's just perfect. And you as the pastor hold that leverage over them and say, you guys, God told me we need to do this. And everyone's like, well, we better do it then, because we kind of like God. And so you have this amazing resource, and other organizations may have the funds that you feel like you don't have. And they have the infrastructure that you might feel that you don't have. And so you take your people resource over to an organization like the Boys and Girls Club, or you take it to a rest home, or you take it to whatever inner city nonprofit organization is helping, or you take it to whatever it is that's in your area. I love J.P. Brumfield told me this years ago. He said, everybody has a need. Even if you're wealthy, if you just got done eating a steak and a baked potato and had horseradish on it, and now you're coming out of the restaurant, you probably need a breath mint. I don't care how rich and wealthy you are. Mm-hmm. If you just learn to identify what the needs are at specific times and places, you can be a blessing wherever you are. So find out what the needs in your community are. This is a great way to do this, and this is what we used to do back at my church in California, in San Diego, is we would go to the city council meetings, and wherever at the city council meetings, whenever a need came up, you say, hey, we have people that can help meet that need. And then your church becomes known in the community as a church that's reaching the community. You're known as oh, that's that church, the church that actually does something and helps us. Yeah. And so then here's the beautiful thing. You have to get your mind around this as a pastor. Once you get enough people in that organization, guess who runs that organization? You essentially do, because you have all the people. And the person, the leader of that organization, he's just so happy that finally people are there. He doesn't really care where it's getting steered towards. And then as a pastor, you can start influencing all these community people, bring them into your church, get involved in their personal lives, get to know their families, and figure out, if you're married, you have problems. So get to find out how you can help them in their marriage problems. There's lots of ways. And then none of that takes any resource but your time and your people, which every church has. And a lot of pastors make excuses because they say, well, if I wouldn't do it, then why would my people do it? Or I'm already so busy. They're probably always so busy. But I'm pretty sure, as Andy Stanley either Bill Hybels or Andy Stanley said, don't say somebody's no for them. It's in the book Axiom. I just forget which one of those geniuses wrote it. But in that book, he said, don't say somebody's no for them. Give people a chance to say yes to what God has put in your heart and what God has put in their heart to do. And you'll be surprised when people say, yes, Pastor, I will do this. And so through that, we've seen churches get alongside these community programs, and there's open doors where there didn't used to be. Because once you have Christian volunteers, for example, in the Boys and Girls Club, this is happening at my cousin's church, you have Christian volunteers now in the Boys and Girls Club leading it up to programs. Now there's an open door to share the gospel with all of these kids. And you can be mentors to these kids at Boys and Girls Club, and it costs you absolutely nothing.
Wow.
But then once you get to know these kids, you get to know their names, you get to know their parents, you tell them about Jesus, you invite them to church, and God shows up and anything can happen. So there's always a starting point, and it's the same here in Peru. There's tons of organizations that have resource to reach out to all the poverty that there is in this country, and there's a ton of it, but they always need people resources. So just send your people out, and then you'll see that as you do that and you're faithful with that, God will give you more. You give more, God will give you more, you give more.
So good. So good. Yeah, thank you for giving us kind of like the simplified steps to that, because we often look at the fruit of someone's results. Like you've been doing this for decades, whatever it has been, I don't know. And we just look at it like, oh, we could never get there. How could I do that? But
here's the crazy thing, and I just want to interject on this.
Yeah.
People think it's about money. We bring in, we're still, as a church, we depend on offerings and gifts from other churches to sustain, because we're trying to do a first world church in a third world country. And so even our outreach budget for all the money or the people that we helped in all this last year, I want to say it was around like $160,000 maybe.
Wow.
Something like that, where other churches, I mean, they're millions of dollars. Tori, give me $1 million. I will change this world. There's millions of dollars. But you don't make money an excuse for, oh, we can't do this because we're not like so-and-so church because they got all this money and they can do all this stuff. Do a stinking food drive and start a food bank and just have everybody at the last Sunday of the month bring a non-perishable, and boom, you got yourself a food bank.
Yeah.
It's
so
easy
simple
stuff that people can do without, you don't need to, here's the outreach pastors are going to hate me for this. You don't need to hire a guy to do the outreach. There's a volunteer out there that is just dying to. He's your crazy guy. He's the guy that brings all the weirdos to church. He's probably your outreach guy. And so you don't need to invest money into a big program or make that your excuse. Start with what you have.
Yeah, I love that. I love it. And it's not like it's not something that you're investing your resources in. It's just your resources isn't necessarily your budget. It's people. And that's where you see value. I love that you said that people are your most valuable resource.
Yes, 100%.
You got to stop and look at them and be like, oh my gosh, yeah, I might have 20 empty seats on a Sunday, but look at the 50 that are filled. Like, what's their gifts, and tap into it. And I love that you're saying really our job is, this is what I'm hearing, is really to connect the dots, like the needs and the people. You're helping people see
100%.
Learning how to see, and then you're also, okay, here's what I have, how can we connect those dots? And that's where magic happens. So I love it. Totally. It's so simple, and there's no telling where God will take it. And look what he's done with you guys. It's absolutely incredible. So and you mentioned JP is like, he's my hero of heroes, taught me so cool. Honestly awesome. Everything I know. Him and Pastor Dino and a couple others, he's like my guy, my hero. Awesome. Man, I'm serious. So many notes being taken over here. I could go on. I mean, you could go on for hours. I could just listen and write a whole book over here. But I wanted to say, I love how you said, like, don't undervalue being on a mission team or sending mission teams or taking them in, because it is like a thing right now. People are kind of like, it's, more damage than good. It's a lot of extra effort to take teams in. It's not that whatever. But I love it. Stupid. They're stupid. Well, okay, they're ignorant. They might be enlightened after this call. But just can you just kind of reiterate, like, I know that it probably takes a lot of effort to be able to host teams, but can you just reiterate the value that you guys see for yourselves locally, and why people should continue to do it. Just kind of highlight that one more time.
All right, if we are just talking selfishly, any pastor that brings a team down or sends a team down, I promise you that when the team comes back, they're going to be more on fire for God. They're going to be more on fire for their faith and telling people about Jesus, and they're going to want to get more plugged into their church, because we're going to allow them to do stuff here that they probably never even knew that they could do in their hometown or in their church. Or we'll show them a different side of life and a different culture to help them realize, wow, there's different ways of doing things, and provide them with opportunities for them to share their faith and see results, which gets you excited to do that when you get back home. And so it's always going to be better for the church that's sending a team down. And we as a church know that, and we value that. And since it's one of our values, we love having teams down because we like to play that part. Pastor Robert loves it when young people come down and God just gives them a vision of who he is and what he has for them. And then they go back and change the world. Or even some of them decide, you know what, I want to become a missionary, and God, send me to China, send me to Africa, send me to Latin America. And we love being able to play that part. So groups are never, ever, ever, ever a burden for us. We love it when teams come down. That's why at our community center, we provided a place for them, because we want them to come down. And then on the other side of it, Peruvians love it when people come from other countries to visit. They love showing off their culture. They love showing off their food. They love showing off their single girls and boys and things. And eventually, one of them gets married and moves down here, moves back there, whatever. They love the cross-cultural experience. There's never any negativity to that, like you might see in some African countries, or you might see in some Asian countries. I don't know. There's just, we never experience it in Latin America. We love it. And then the resources of conocimiento, the know-how, the ideas that teams come, they say, hey guys, have you thought of doing it like this, is fresh. It's a fresh outlook for us as a ministry that we would have never thought about if churches from the States or from other countries didn't come down and say, hey, have you tried it like this? And then at the same time, it energizes any pastor where we send foreigners to his little church and his little community and showcase what he is doing and help paint his church and spruce it up and then do activities around the community. Everybody in the community at that point is like, wow, this pastor seems really important. If people are coming from so far away and spending all this money just to do this, maybe we should listen to what he has to say. And just if a few people can come to know Christ because of that, it's worth the plane ticket and the money that's raised. Wow. And so we love that and we encourage that. So we have a groups coordinator, Paige, who's she's amazing. And you can contact her at cdvgroups@gmail.com, cdvgroups@gmail.com, and then she'll send you a sweet little PDF that talks all about the missions experiences for Camino De Vida and how much they are. And we try to take out all the heavy lifting and make it so easy for any church that wants to come down. We hope that it's an amazing experience. We have expensive trips for churches that have lots of money, and we have cheap trips where we're actually paying money as a church to help get youth groups to come down just so that they can experience what a missions trip is all about. We would hate that money would ever be a reason that people could not come down and be a part of it. We have trips along the coast, in the Andes Mountains in Cusco, and you can see Machu Picchu, or in the Amazon jungle, and you can see where the Amazon River starts and hold an anaconda. So we have trips throughout the whole country. We love it when teams come down. If ever you get my pastor, Robert Barringer, talking about missions and how important missions is and missionaries and missions teams, he will talk to you for 2 hours on how valuable it was, is, and still will be in the years to come.
Wow. You sold me. I'm in. I'm coming.
I'm gonna
email him. I'm just kidding, but really, I'm coming. No, that's
Highlands is actually bringing a team down in 2 weeks.
I may call up Laura and be like, look, I just got to crash that party.
Yeah, get on that one. That's a God thing.
Amen. Cool. Thank you for sharing that. Again, it just highlights you guys your treasures are people, and that just
Yes.
shows even more so in that. So beautiful, beautiful. Is there anything else before we close out that you would just say you want to make sure people are left with a thought of wisdom, or anything like that we didn't cover real quick you want to leave us with?
I would say this, and this is going to sound really stupid, but
Okay.
as special as we may think we are in what we're doing, like, we're nothing compared to the 100,000 churches in Asia that are just killing it.
Mhm.
And as big as our church, or as small as our church might be, it's nothing compared to freaking Church of the Highlands is like the biggest church in the world, whatever.
Oh my gosh.
Or Camino De Vida is, the whatever. The important thing is that if you're a pastor, if you're an outreach pastor, the most important thing you can do is do what God has called you to do, and do it with the faithfulness that God has called you to do it, because you may be in one of the hardest places in the States or in the world to reach people. And Birmingham, Alabama might just be the easiest place in the world to start and build a megachurch. I mean, we don't really know. But what we do know is that if God has called you to something, it's not necessarily about how big you are compared to other people, but never let that keep you from believing God for more, and saying, even how I have my stupid idea of, hey, we're going to reach 100,000 people. Remember, I did that when we were reaching like 1,000 people. And every year we've seen that number grow. And I really believe that this year we're going to reach 100,000 people with the gospel. But guess what? Next year I'm going to say, you know what? Let's reach 150,000 people, or let's reach 200,000 people. And not because I'm special, because I'm not. And not because Camino De Vida is special, because we're not. We really are the most accidental church in the world. And we have no idea why God has graced us with his grace. And we really just have gotten really lucky in stumbling on a lot of good stuff and learning from a lot of good people. But it doesn't matter. It's not about your size. It's about being faithful with what God is having you do, and just believe him for more and more. And you're going to see him do amazing miracles. The end.
Wow. The end. So encouraging. So good. Thank you so much for that wisdom. Okay, so if people have further questions, or they want to connect maybe with you, what's the best way with their social media, whatever's best? How do they get in touch?
Best way is email nickbalcombe@gmail.com.
Awesome.
And then if you want to follow my Instagram, just because I post funny stuff that I think is entertaining, you can always follow Nick Balcombe on Instagram, on social media. And then our church website is caminodevida.com, caminodevida.com. And we love, if there's anything we can do, write me. I'll get you in contact with any of our people, any of our lead people in any of our different areas, from small group to marriages, through whatever we have, because we just love helping other churches. We love seeing other churches grow, and we love being connected to churches all around the world.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for this talk, for your time. And I'm personally leaving inspired and planning a visit. And I think everybody who watched is going to be too. So thanks everybody for watching, and we will see you next time. Thanks, Nick. Love you guys. And everybody have a good one.